Hello everybody, take a look at what I've got for you right now. This knife right here comes to you from GT Knives, and GT Knives are made in the USA. I believe there's some kind of an offshoot or somehow related to Mantis Knives. I think there's some kind of a connection there and I'm not too sure, but this knife right here is an automatic and it's a California legal model, so meaning it has the under 2-inch blade. And so the model number for this one is the GT-401. I don't know if it has a model name other than that. I do know GT Knives sells these knives, and they come in a couple of different blade shapes as options for you. But before I open up the blade, let me show you the handle right here. I believe the handle is aluminum, and it has a rubber texture built in on both sides for grip. And before I even open it up, you'll notice in the background I have two other California legal autos. One being the Benchmade Impel, and the other the Kershaw Launch 4, which just recently was released. So I'm going to kind of compare this knife here to these two that I also own. The GT Knives has been around for a while, I believe, but it seems as of recent I've seen these ones online a lot more offered for sale. If you were to go to their website right now, these cost about $149. Luckily, I was able to get this one for about $50 shipped. And there's a retailer having them at that price, and I'll mention that later. But of course, this knife right here, I'll hold it just closed side by side with the Launch 4, and you'll see it's a little bit smaller handle-wise. And same with the Benchmade, you'll see it's a little bit smaller in overall dimension. But they kind of went for something drastically different, I believe, because of course you'll notice this knife here has no pocket clip. It relies on just the rubber grip for its hold. So if you're going to carry this, you're going to have to just stick it in your pocket or put it in a leather sleeve in your pocket or something along those lines. And you'll notice this one does have a button lock as well, but it's part of the pivot. So there's no way to adjust that pivot, so take note of that also. So it has their GT logo really small on the pivot. So I'm going to go ahead and open the knife up. Deploys very quickly, just as well as these two over here, maybe even a little better. Logo on the blade again. ATS-34 is the steel, and they advertise USA production. So let me compare the size of these open. And you'll see the overall length is again a little shorter because the handle is smaller. But blade length wise, it's about similar. So a little bit smaller than these two other options. But of course I just got this one today, and as soon as I opened it, took it out of the package, I tested it, it was nice and sharp. It does appear to have a chisel grind, because you can see of course there is an edge bevel on this side, whereas on the back side it is flat. Was very sharp though. One thing I was worried about buying this knife is that of course there's no pivot that we have access to. It's just this button. So would it be tight lockup? Would there be play? And so taking a look at it, you can see there is some significant play back and forth. And so of course that's one of the first things I did out of the box was check it for side-to-side play, which it does have. Suffers from that. And that's what I noticed too, and I was going to check the up and down play, is that as I was testing it, it seemed solid, and I actuated the knife a few times, so it seemed solid. But one of the first few times I actually tried to open the knife, the lock failed. The blade folded right back on me, and I didn't get cut or anything because I was being careful, but it seemed as if the button lock was not engaging the blade properly, so like I just did right there. I don't know what I did wrong or if this is just a defective model, but I pressed the button and then I was just testing to see if it could be closed like that, and it did. This time it locked up. You can see here the kind of clicking sound it makes when it closes, which I do like how fast it deploys. Not a fan of the side to side, and I'm just worried about the lockup on this thing. Luckily, it's not doing it now too much for the camera, But I mean, if the knife's not going to stay locked open, I mean, that's a safety hazard. So I'm going to keep playing with this, and hopefully it'll work itself out. Maybe there's just grit in there or something, preventing it from being locked up safely. But I think that's a major issue with the knife brand new out of the box. So at this point, if it improves, I guess I'll hold on to it. If not, I did buy this one from Kershaw Guy. So go to KershawGuy.com if you're interested in getting one of these for about $50. And I know he's an upstanding guy, so if I needed to return it, he probably would be okay, I would imagine, with doing that. But I was kind of curious because, I mean, these retail everywhere I've seen online about $150, and he has some of them for $50. So I don't know if they're blems or something like that, but it's a little bit worrisome. So that being said, at this point, I don't recommend you buy the knife, actually, even though it was a lower price, you know. So I'm just going to keep playing with it, like I said. And I like having these California Legal Autos. They're kind of cute little knives to collect. Very cool to play with. Love the push-button locks. And which is just amazing is, you know, there's no pivot on it, so it has this side-to-side. Whereas these other two, of course, have a separate pivot, but I mean, they're rock solid. I mean, the Benchmade and the Kershaw. So I guess GT just has some ways to go to get to that point, which I am glad they are catering to the California knife market. I believe they're located in California, so that's part of that, maybe. So again, I'm just going to keep playing with it, and hopefully I can't get it to do it again on camera, and that's a good thing, because I really hope that maybe something was just gritty in there. Oh, I just did that. So I'm just going to keep opening it a few times, seeing if I can get it to replicate it for you. And I really hope it's just a passing thing with this knife, because it just doesn't feel secure. And at this point, you know, you can get sometimes these sub 2-inch autos as toys at a gas station, the really cheap Chinese-made ones. And I almost want to recommend that over this, especially if you're considering paying the $150 that they are, you know, have the MSRP at. So if you can find it cheap like I did, maybe take the gamble. But I just wanted to share this information. I mean, it's a beautiful knife otherwise. I mean, I love the rubber inserts. Really cool. Not a fan of the blade play, but that's probably just an issue because the pivot is the button. So hopefully no one else has this issue out there. But if you've ever owned a GT knife and have had concerns, please let me know. But other than that, thank you for watching.